At the Business Committee, People Before Profit requested, as a matter of urgency, that we have an emergency debate before the Dáil goes into recess for the summer on the housing and homelessness crisis, and particularly family and child homelessness, which has now reached utterly disastrous proportions. I am not exaggerating, you Taoiseach, if you don't know this already, in saying it has never been this bad. Never. Families this week and last week are coming into my clinic where, for the first time ever, the local authority cannot even offer families and children an emergency place. Never mind a council house, never mind somewhere near where the kids go to school, they can't even offer them an emergency hostel. Right, that's how bad it is.
All right, Deputy.
And it is getting worse. And the government is refusing even to debate it, even though we are due a review of Housing for All. Will you ensure there is an emergency debate on this crisis before the summer recess?
Deputy Batchik.
My sense is that members in the House want this to be a debating chamber, not a legislative chamber. If you look at just what has happened, if you look at what just happened through the chair.
Can we have the Taoiseach now without interruption?
After request. I've had request after request, after statements on this, statements on that, debate on that, but to hell with the legislation. We don't want legislation. Deputy Collins doesn't want to be crammed in on a Friday afternoon. We've offered 3 hours. We've offered 3 hours on Friday, not about debating endlessly about something, but about doing something in terms of legislation to improve the admission situation for children with special needs. That's what we want to do. No, I know, Deputy Collins, the idea. Look,
wait now. Hold on. Sorry, Taoiseach. If we don't behave yourselves, we're going to suspend the House. Now, please. A bit of manners.
Through the Chair, I have to say, and I'm making the point, this is a legislative assembly first and foremost. Its objective is to pass laws. And the idea of 9 bills being appalling, to me that's a sign of productivity, getting work done, getting legislation through. And some emergency legislation is required. That's nothing new. It has happened time immemorial in terms of emergency legislation required. But instead of just having endless debates, we want action as well. We do need action in terms of admissions to schools for fully inclusive principles around children with special needs being admitted to schools, and we don't have a situation where certain schools are doing all the heavy lifting in respect of special needs admissions to our schools. But we do need to make up our mind in terms of, and people talk about the business, Deputy Pringle talks about the Business Committee. It seems to me, and I've been, invariably at the order of business, there are calls for statements, debates in a very precious time frame, because we don't have expanded time frame. This week we have Friday. We don't normally sit on a Friday.
Please,
but it seems to be the preference is debate, and we push back legislation all of the time. And I think that balance has to be redressed. I'm saying that from the government side of the House, that I always, consistently since I was elected to this House, has seen it primarily as a legislative assembly, because that means you get things done, as opposed to just playing to the gallery all the time. I'm not saying that's what you're all doing from time to time, but there's an element of it, I'm afraid. And Deputy Collins, you weren't first prize in that regard.
Now, are the proposed arrangements agreed to? Or not agreed to?